Hello, everybody. Welcome to the CoinGeek Weekly Livestream. I'm your host, Mr. Kurt Wuckert Jr., rocking live from sunny South Florida. The entire show is produced from the great state of Florida, where it is actually sunny today. We've had a lot of rain, and pretty excited that it's bright, even though there's supposed to be a tropical storm floating a little bit out into the Atlantic. So to anybody out on a cruise or in any of the island nations in the area, sending love and prayers. But just button up. It's not that big of a storm. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal, but it's sunny here and breezy, which is delightful. So everybody, I appreciate you doing your job. You must like, subscribe, hit the alert bell, especially if you are my core audience, who I love to call the sane people. So all you sane people, thank you for joining the show here. Please share around. We're going to be live taking questions from the troll box and going to be having a good show. Our guest this afternoon is Pearl Nwade. She is maybe someone who you haven't heard of before, but we are going to be introducing her, and I'm pretty excited to share some of the genuinely really, really cool stuff that she's up to, which really integrates AI and blockchain tech, which I think is probably the most important integration that very few people have touched on in a meaningful way. And there's a lot of people chit-chatting about the idea, but we're looking to change the world here on this show, and Pearl is going to help us do that. I also want to thank our sponsors, primarily Rock Wallet, which I've had a lot of people sending me DMs the last couple of days saying their Rock Wallet is not syncing. I looked into it. I don't know exactly what the problem is, okay? It's some kind of node provisioning issue is my guess. But if you leave it open, it does synchronize eventually. And so what I think is going on is when you close the app, it is breaking that synchronization process, and then it's not able to catch up easily. So I know that's frustrating. I'm not here saying that it's all okay. Just I'm not trying to cover up the smoke around the fire or anything. It's just a provisioning. I think it's a node provisioning issue, and I think everything will be okay. So just putting that out there. So anyways, Rock Wallet, thank you for sponsoring the show. If you want to hold your BTC, BCH, BSV, Ethereum, ETH-based stablecoins, and the BSV-based MNEE money token, the only gasless stablecoin ever to exist, you're going to want to use Rock Wallet. Rockwallet.com. We appreciate you guys. I'm genuinely not just excited about their sponsorship. We've been using Rock Wallet at Gorilla Pool for like two years. Basically, as soon as it came out, we started to use it. We quite like it. We use it for exchanging and for taking mining rewards and sending payments around and stuff too. So we are genuine users. I do not vouch for anything that I don't use myself, and Rock Wallet has been good to us, both as a company and as a product. So Rock Wallet, thank you. Go ahead and check them out, everybody. Anyhow, if you have not checked my pinned post on X and all around social media, I wrote an article from CoinGeek today. Remember, tech talk you can trust from CoinGeek.com. You can read my article about the need for a truly integrated Web3 browser. So if you've ever wanted to understand how to use the MetaNet, how do we get in there and start to make things happen, you need a browser that can speak Web 2, speak Web 3, have fully integrated wallet and all the rest of it. And we explain all of the ins and outs. Well, I explain the ins and outs of how I would design such a thing were I to implement it as part of my Big Ideas series. And I hope you check it out. It also integrates a lot of the ideas from my other parts of the series. This was actually part 6 of the series. And I'm going to pivot a little bit. I don't think we're going to do a Big Ideas series next week, or if I do, it's going to be not on that same vein of ideas. So anyways, go check it out. And I appreciate everybody watching. Again, share and do all that jazz. We are going to cut to a word from our delightful sponsor, and we will be right back with Pearl Nwade. welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's quite good to have you here. Let's start. Every time we have a new person join the show, I want to hear your basic version of your Bitcoin story. So what was your reaction the first time you ever heard about Bitcoin or blockchain technology? Did you think it was crazy, stupid? Did you immediately think it was brilliant? And how has that changed bringing you to be a guest on this show?
Okay, I do have a very good story, actually.
Awesome.
So I come from a finance background. And initially, I kind of had the idea that, when you go to commercial class, you're just going to work for, I don't know, a financial company, mostly a bank. Mm-hmm. And then I did an internship with a cryptocurrency exchange. And I was like, oh my God, there's so much more to finance. There's decentralized finance. There's so much to it. And at the time, Bitcoin was quite low. The price of Bitcoin was quite low. That was like 2017, 2018.
Sure.
I was like, no. I was still trying to learn about it, and I didn't really want to, I don't know, stake a lot into it. Had it been that I knew, I could have been a sponsor on this show as well. But
yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah. So I think I heard about Bitcoin, and that kind of like drove my entire, should I say, job or life trajectory? Because from when I found out about like decentralized finance, my entire life has been working for blockchains, doing a master's in financial technology, still working for blockchains, and pretty much like doing better investments and understanding the entire structure of it, I would say. So yeah, I do have some Bitcoins. I wish I had more.
Always.
Yeah.
So, well, that's great. I mean, most people, we get similar stories out of almost everybody. They're like, somebody told me about it, or somebody showed me. I thought it was cute, or I thought it was crazy. And man, do I wish I thought it was a good idea sooner. But no, that's awesome. So working in the industry, so, finance, data analytics, I firmly believe that data is the most undervalued commodity in existence. I think everything about data, more useful data, makes all of our lives more rich and abundant. I imagine you're of the same position, given.
Definitely. Pretty much data is the heartbeat of any business.
Yes.
That's it. If you want to make good decisions, data.
There you go. Well, and so many people, you have this intuition, and even going back, if you go back 50 years and just look at business, the way that it was, people with, maybe a good idea, but lots of things was, there was just presumption, and then it's just guess and check on whether or not the market agrees with you. And now, especially over the last, 20 years, but increasingly, it just gets more and more dialed in that the data, analytics of the data basically drives all company culture today. That everything about it is, okay, we can see the swarm of data here is telling us that we need to be over here as a company. Now, as that integrates into things like AI and blockchain and data sterility and all of that kind of thing, I'm curious, and I want to get your basic answer here, and then I want to talk about the Exeter Hackathon and some of that stuff. But what is your take on the importance, especially with the massive uptick of AI data? What's the importance of sterile data? Like understanding that, you can train LLMs all day, but if they're trained on bad data or data without good context, that you start to get really bad outcomes. So what's your take on data sterility?
I think so there's something called the ripple effect, right? And then the ripple effect kind of like affects every single thing, because the wrong data equals to the wrong results. And there is like financial misreporting. There is bad strategic decision. There is loss of customers' trust. There is regulatory penalties. And all this happens as a ripple effect from just the wrong data. You're reporting the wrong thing. You're making a big decision. Like, for example, people that actually like in the marketing, oh my God, marketing is something else. Marketing analytics, people that do that is head on, I don't know. And to be very honest, I feel like when you're marketing for the wrong, because algorithms, if you do it wrong, you calculate it wrong, and then your marketing's pumping in so much money into the wrong venture, into the wrong idea. Yeah, it's wrong data is just so much ripple effect. And I think people don't kind of like, a lot of people like to do like guts, go with my guts, go with, I believe. I mean, your guts can do as much as you want it to do, but why would you stress yourself about your guts when the numbers are there to kind of help you,
Right.
essentially? So I think getting the right data is extremely more important than, trusting your guts, or because of like the ripple effect, essentially. Yeah.
Right. No, but really key. I mean, we've seen huge companies completely fall apart because somebody's sure they're right when they're definitely wrong. And
You're
so,
doing the wrong things. Imagine me telling you that you have 5 billion in your account.
yeah, not good data. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about Exeter and the hackathon. First of all, Exeter University has been a good partner to both the BSVA and broadly kind of the BSV ecosystem for a number of years. But first of all, how did you hear about it and get involved in that? What was the process like? And then I would like to talk about how you won the thing.
How I won? I wasn't part of the judges. I mean, but anyway, so the entire process was how did I learn about Exeter? So it was actually my dad. My dad does this stuff where he's like, he tries to he brings out like I said, the data. He tries to kind of like compare different universities, and I told him about my interest in wanting to do my master's in financial technology. And he just said, don't worry about that. He goes out there, he's doing all the research, checking in the US, checking in the UK, trying to find the university that pretty much provides like the best financial technology, master's in financial technology. At the time, Exeter University was pretty much number one, if not number one at the time. Yeah. And my dad was like, yeah, you're definitely going to go there. And that's pretty much how I came to Exeter. Now, there's so much I didn't understand about the blockchain. I think when you learn about Bitcoin, the behind the scenes and the technology, proof of work, everything that just happens, there's so much you don't know.
Yeah.
And doing a master's in financial technology, I'm not sure, I mean, I haven't done masters in other places, but just being able to do my master's in University of Exeter, there's so much I've learned. Like, oh my goodness, there's so much. And I think that is why, like, when people kind of like limit the power of the entire blockchain system, is quite annoying, because it's like there's so much more to it than just trading,
Yeah.
There's so much more to it. Like there is instant payment, there is I mean, if you're using BSV, I mean, I don't know about other currencies, but I mean, if you're using BSV, it's cheaper for transaction sake. I mean, there's just so much behind the scenes, and I think people should not just limit their knowledge based on, is just trading. I just want to make money.
Yeah. No, it's such a difficult thing. I've been hosting meetups for the better part of a decade. In fact, Cash, it might be more than a decade now. I've been hosting Bitcoin or blockchain meetups, and it's so weird how many people show up and they just start immediately talking about whatever the coin of the week, like, hey man, did you see this thing pumped, or whatever. Like that's where they
annoying. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it is. It drives me nuts too, because I'm like, man, who wants to go to a meet? Like they're literally just trying to find some little piece of alpha for their next trade, and that's all they care about. And I on the one hand, I guess I respect the grind. The kind of people that are, hey, I'm gonna make a fortune doing this.
Money
Like
is good.
Yeah, money is good. but when we start talking about the tech, you can see it's something like half of all people. They either completely tune out, and you can tell they're just like, I don't care. I don't care who's doing anything with any of this. And then the other half of people, you can see them say, like, oh wow, there is a ton of opportunity that they had no idea.
There really is. There is a lot of opportunity, which, I mean, it's gonna take a lot. It's crazy how, like, from 2018, I thought the world was gonna catch up really quickly. Obviously, there's a lot of advancement now, and a lot of people are still catching up to it. But I mean, I feel like AI is catching up a lot more than even like crypto itself, right? Than
Yeah.
even like the entire blockchain system itself. And that's quite interesting. That kind of shows like, you know, where our interests lie.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny. It's the crazy thing because just 2 years ago, I feel like it was about 2 years ago that AI really showed up. All of a sudden, like ChatGPT sort of democratizes technology that had been brewing for about a decade. And, you know, then, you know, immediately everybody starts to understand like, oh, wow, this is really groundbreaking. Now I mean, it's head and shoulders better than it was at the get-go. It is now is an extremely useful and valuable tool. And I look at it and I think, man, Bitcoin's been around for 16 years now. And we're still in that very ignorant, like just severely underutilized, like the most tremendously underutilized technology that I can think of at all.
It
and
is.
Yeah.
It is.
What is
and
how do we do better? What I want to know, like I always ask people, if you had a magic wand and $1 billion, how do you get more people to understand and then utilize the technology for either financial good, like building a cool business, or some kind of global equity good sort of thing?
I think you have to kind of put everything in like a juxtaposition, like life with this technology and life without this technology. Because I think now everyone feels like they're getting the best of what the world can offer, but there's so much more that the world can offer as well, right? And I mean, I would also think that because there's so much, as much as we're fighting for this decentralized system, we don't really have a lot of decentralized anymore, right? Now we're doing this, the whole paper trail. You're trying to track which transaction is happening from which exchange. A lot of regulations are coming into the entire decentralized finance system that we're trying to preach to everyone about as well. So the entirety of what we're trying to like sell out, we don't have that anymore, right? Because then it's not anonymous anymore. Now I know who sent it to who. I know your entire information. If the regulatory system asks for something, everyone already has that. And so like the selling point isn't there anymore, but that's just a fraction of what it can do, right? So I mean, I'll go back to the project like I did when I was in Exeter, and it was called Seva. And pretty much what we were trying to, so we used two sample locations, right? So we wanted to use the universities and then the country, specifically Nigeria, because the corruption there was really is a lot. I mean, it's still a lot.
Legendary. Yeah.
And we were two. So in the entire masters in financial technology, we're just two Nigerians, right? Out of like 200 and something students. And so, and we're in the same group. So we're passionate about this idea. And pretty much what we were trying to build was, we were trying to build a software using BSV, but specifically like, how will I explain it? So the software was more like a budgeting software. And with this software, you cannot spend things. You can't, like, if the funds is given to you for agriculture, you can't spend it on anything but agriculture, right?
And it was specifically, if I recall, is for like grant management and things like that, right? So like you've received money.
What do you call it? Financial budget for a country. You know, when they bring their yearly budgets, and you're seeing how much the funds are, but you don't know exactly where the funds are going to. And pretty much how this was going to work was, there were different categories. Like, people would kind of register within the organization or within the company. You would bring in, you would have like specific. So if you wanted to spend a specific amount of money on, let's say, road construction or whatever the case might be. Right. But then you didn't have the funds, or the funds allocated to you was not specifically for road allocation. Then, you know, the smart contract would automatically be denied, essentially. And I think it was very important because of how, like, we see a lot of funds. They give us like a yearly fund or a yearly budget of what we're meant to spend in the country, or universities, for example, like when you're trying to get social aid and you tell them, oh, I need $500 for maybe to pay for my rent or something. 99% of the time, they don't use it for that, right? They use it for other things. And it was pretty much like just being able to ensure that the funds were used for the right things. And I mean, that's just a fraction of really what that's a fraction of what the blockchain system can offer you. BSV specifically, because it was built using type BSV script, and
for sure. So are you yourself a programmer?
I am. Okay.
What is your it's funny, I tell everybody like get really comfortable with script because it's really powerful. What was your experience with script? Because I know, so it's funny, internally, David Case, he goes by Shrugger on social media and stuff. He has moved to entirely coding all of his smart contracts from scratch, not with script. He is maybe the best script developer that I've ever met, but he's gotten so good at it that he's understood it at a low level. And he just is like, you know what, I'm gonna code this from scratch. So, but I think almost everybody should start with script because it's so powerful and so. Okay, maybe not start. if you want to do Bitcoin based smart contracts, then start there. Exactly. So big preface, a couple of asterisks.
Script, my experience with script. Oh my goodness. So first of all, everyone's like, it's just like JavaScript and it's just like TypeScript, it's just easy. Yeah. It's just, and to be very honest, I feel like if you understand the fundamentals of programming, it is quite easy. Now there is a lot of things you have to learn behind the scenes, integration of the blockchain, the wallets and connections and all that. But I think it's pretty much the same. I would say TypeScript, script is pretty much potato at this point.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Oh, we got a comment. Script is watching. So we get the fire emoji from our script friends. Thank you, script for heating up the chat. So let's talk a little more about like data pipelines. Like we have some of these bullet points that are in the show notes talking about like real world analytics and these things. Now, like you mentioned, Nigeria and legendary status on like, hey, where'd the money go, right? Which I think is funny that they get that. And I'm an American. I got to sit and look at the federal budget that's $35 trillion in debt and saying why don't we have the reputation for being really bad at money management?
Honestly, I think because there's enough trails you can track where the funds are going to. I'm not certain, but maybe that's why. But like for us, we definitely need a structured contract. We need a smart contract that ensures that the funds are used for what the funds are meant to be used for. And I think in a extremely heavily corrupt system, that motion is not going to be passed anytime soon.
Yeah. Well, and so that's my big struggle. Like, we talk about these things, reducing fraud, reducing waste, reducing corruption. But then the people you're pitching it to, like you have to get this integrated by politicians whose livelihoods are based on fraud, corruption. So that's where I've hit a wall on this stuff, where unless we can, like, I don't know how to force it, but I feel like it needs to be forced upon them. But we can't even get our own, in the blockchain space, there's, 10,000 blockchains that all do something or other. And, and people are still using it for trading JPEGs or trading meme coins or doing, whatever nonsense they're up to. And I think it undermines our credibility that could be leveraged into forcing the politicians to have to go the direction of, hey, you need to use this audited smart contract and this accounting system and these sorts of things. How do we do better? Do you have any ideas on that sort of integrated path to doing this stuff better, or what do we even do?
To be very honest, I just feel like I said, you might just as well just do the juxtaposition, life with it, life without it, right? Because now there is, I mean, look at the debt that we currently have. I mean, look at the US debt, look at Nigerian debt. And
it's tremendous. Yeah.
And we keep borrowing, right? And it's really sad because most of the time you're more focused on now, right? But then there's still like years to go. There's still like your children and your children's children. And so what happens? Would you end up selling your country, or would another country take over your country because of how much funds you have pretty much borrowed? Or because China keeps borrowing a lot of country funds, and I'm constantly thinking about like what is the end goal for this? Because it's not charity, it's never charity, right? And so like no one is actually focused. So, but if you focus more on like the juxtapositions of things, like this is what's going to happen in the next 10 years. If you don't get your, let me know, I can't, no, if you don't get your affairs in order, essentially, I was about to
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, we've been competing against China, at least allegedly, for 50 years, right? Richard Nixon had this idea in the 1960s.
I'm sorry.
Well, and that's the scary thing, right? I mean, 50 years ago, China was, pulling wagons around, and that was like the peak of their culture. And today, they'll build a maglev train that goes 10,000 miles, and they'll do it inside of 3 months or something. You see the stuff they build and how fast they build it, and it's like, ooh, like that should be a wake up call, and yet, again, our politicians and whatever, they
is even structured. Everything is structured so like, and I think it's like it's always about the politicians anyway, the people behind the scenes, the people making all the laws and the policies, right? They are the ones. And I mean, if you have people that are extremely self-centered and care about their own wealth, well, that's kind of what you get for voting for them, I guess. I mean, a lot of places now, allegedly, they say you vote, but your vote doesn't necessarily count because there are systems that would rig the election. I don't know, allegedly.
No, so, I think that's probably true too, which actually is another place where some data analytics and data sterility could be really relevant.
Put it live. Don't put it as a ballot paper, because the balloting, I can't really trust that you're actually counting these things exactly how you're counting it. Let it be live. Let us see, like, as people are pressing the numbers, let it be changing live nationwide, right? Yep. There's so much to do with technology, and I'm very excited for the future, and I'm also scared at the same time.
Yeah. Same.
Because of AI as well. Because I don't know. I'm excited about the kind of advancement in technology that's gonna happen, but at the same time, because of the people that I know that are in power and they don't really care about the future, and they are so like focused on the now. There's going to be so much ripple effect if a lot of all these technologies are also not managed well as well.
Right.
So I don't know.
It's funny. Recently, I was on a space with a bunch of AI tech entrepreneurs and some influencers and whatever. And, they were all talking about, here's what we need to do with AI. And I spoke up and I said, my biggest fear with AI right now is the same fear with anything that is influential, is that the AI right now is kind of like a baby in the cradle, but all the people that are teaching it, they're West Coast childless tech entrepreneur types, and if we're training something that is supposed to be a brain and mimic, like you're trying to train it to be a useful human. And so I said, I think you should have it trained by people that are observably good parents. Like, why don't you find people who have successfully raised a lot of children?
Access to it, right?
Exactly.
That makes so much sense, though.
They thought I was kidding. They thought it. They laughed. They're, oh, come on. And I said, I'm serious. This is like, you might be raising a brilliant sociopath, and that would be very, very dangerous for us. Wouldn't it be good if the AI could be taught whatever values it's meant to mimic by people that we know are good at instilling values in some ignorant mind,
Honestly, that's actually a very good point. But the good people in this world don't really, they don't really stand
We
a
don't
chance.
start we don't start tech companies is the problem generally.
I mean, they do start tech companies, but then I don't know.
Yeah, they get bought by the bigger, scarier ones.
Except if you want to play the game and you want to be as dirty, you want to be a dirty player as well. But
Yeah.
it's not an I don't know, it's not a clean system. It's
Yeah.
it's very, you have to get your hands dirty. You have to the future is scary, but I'm excited.
Yeah.
That's what I have to
Well,
say.
same. So, like in your bio stuff, like we're talking about systems that can run autonomously, systems that can scale. They don't need human babysitting. I mean, we've been talking a lot about human problems. Like there's all these human problems around these tech systems. So let's talk about autonomous systems. How can we build systems that can act as agents, make decisions with agency, but have that agency not be corrupt itself? I think corrupt people create corrupt digital AI agents. So what can we do to
Autonomous.
move the needle? Like again, magic wand and $1 billion. Pearl, what do we do?
So I think, if for me to kind of explain how the structures work, I think I kind of have to explain like the different dimensions. And
Please
I'm gonna
do.
take
Yeah.
I'm gonna take you into data and analytics engineering. Welcome to my TED
Cool.
Talk, guys. So pretty much we have like different structures, right? So we have the first layer, right, being the OLTP, which is, I mean, everyone already talks about it a lot, online transactional processing. And this is pretty much like the back end or the database that's directly connected to your software, right? Then after that, we now have the staging layer, right? So we have the source layer, we have the staging layer, and then the staging layer is mostly like a one-to-one relationship with your source layer, right?
Mhm.
And then from your staging layer, we then now have the transformation layer. And then the transformation layer is mostly like for cleaning, aggregating, model facts, dimensions, and these tools that we mostly use for the transformation. So let me go back a bit. So I don't know if most people listening here will probably have heard of ELT, ETL. It keeps on flying around a lot and all that. But in the normal system that we currently have, in the more advanced data engineering system, we mostly use ELTs, right? So we extract, we load, and then we transform. Back in the days, most people would extract, they would transform, and then they load. The problem with that is it was extremely restricted, right? Because anything you load, if you need to make any adjustment, you had to go all the way back to your transformation. It was extremely rigid, really hard. But now we have a system that pretty much you extract, you load, you put in as much data as you want from your source data, and then you do all the transformation you want to do, right? So I was saying we have the source system, the staging layer, the transformation layer, the OLAP layer, which is like the analytics layer for like querying. And then we now have the consumption layer, right? That is the layer that if you project the wrong data, that's the end, the ripple effect that happens, right? And most of this time, a lot of times when we are building, especially if you work for like a startup company, when you're building your data system, it is a lot of learning. Is a strong, strict learning curve as well, because you're trying to build a data system that is extremely robust in the sense that like extraction is going on fine, no duplicates, you don't have missing data, you don't have blocked, or like your data is constantly sorry, your pipeline is constantly broken all the time.
Right.
And you're trying to build this is 99% of the time when you're starting off, you do all these things manually. I did all these things manually, and oh my god, I'm so grateful for AI, because now
Yeah.
there is so much that like AI has transformed so much, even all the way down to like even the mundane type of codes that you actually have to keep building or adjusting and all that. Like, AI has pretty much helped you with that task as well. But then when it comes to creating an autonomous data pipeline, you have to look at three key layers. So the first one is auto try, right? After you build your entire pipelines, 99% of the time, there are going to be situations that your pipeline breaks for maybe there's like maybe API timeouts, maybe there's network glitch, and
Sure.
that should not actually affect the smooth running of your pipeline. So when you're building your data pipeline, most of the time you have to integrate additional things like the auto try. Now, most of the softwares, I wanted to kind of speak of softwares as well that would actually help with all these things. So people kind of build their data system trying to integrate the softwares. I built my entire system from start to finish using the Google Cloud system, right? And that was just because we were trying to do like cost efficiency. It was easier instead of you trying to integrate a third party into your system. But then different people kind of use different things, right? So, for example, for the auto tries and building of DAGs and all that, you could actually use Airflow, right? But then there's also Cloud Composer, which Google Cloud offers as well, which also integrates Airflow into the system. And then you have that option to do that as well if you want to. But I mean, like I said, if you have funds and you really just want to blow your funds, and that's up to you, right? Because the data system, the softwares that you use, you have to always include when you're trying to select your software. You have to kind of think of the cost involved. You have to kind of think of like the scalability of it as well. So when you're trying to create an autonomous system, you have to kind of remember that you're building something that if it breaks, you automatically retries again. You don't want it to constantly kind of like fracture the entire process of it. So the first step is the auto try. Then the second one that you do is the schema drift correction, right? So the auto try, you use softwares like Airflow, Cloud Composer, Perfect. And then for the schema drift correction is so it depends on how big your organization is. If you're working with a large organization, a lot of things change, especially with the schema structures, right? Additional columns are added to your schema, or maybe from nano to timestamp or whatever the case might be. And then you're not really updated because you're the data engineer, and 99% of the time they didn't really tell you all these updates. So you're figuring it out yourself, and you're trying to figure out why I'm getting errors. And I learned of a software that pretty much helps you detect all these. They use like an ML tool that kind of understand the history of your data pipeline, understand the structure of your data. And then if something kind of like breaks, or if an additional column was added to your table, it would automatically create that column, right? It will add that to the schema and then continue the pipeline so it doesn't break. You don't necessarily have to start going back and start building it all over again. It's called Monte Carlos. It's a beautiful software. I think people should read up about it and learn more about it. It pretty much would save you a lot of stress when it comes to monitoring your system. It gives you all the alerts that you need.
Yeah. I just want to call out. I was just thinking the same thing, and Eric just said it. Pearl should be doing streams on X showing this stuff, because this is really, really good information. This is killer.
It gives you. Honestly, I was thinking like, should I just create a slide? Like I didn't know exactly how the structure of this was gonna be, and I genuinely wish I did. But I mean, I could also do that as well. I could create a slide and share with you guys, and then you guys can put it on.
I'd love to see it. Yeah. Honestly, I really think you should make a show. You should call it Pearls of Wisdom. And you should teach people this stuff. This is great.
Yeah. Oh my. And so like with the schema drift, so you're not actually stressing about like my pipeline breaking. And I keep on saying this because like when I started with manual labor. I would say that's in the most unhinged way. I would pretty much and even all the way down to creating your batching, your batch sizes, trying to create like when you're building your pipeline, trying to ensure that there are no duplicates. So to track that the certain amount of data has been ingested and already exists, you have to now build like pipeline tracker tables that pretty much track the data that is currently in there. And then from time to time, you kind of like have to compare the data from your source data to what you currently have. And most of the time you kind of do that by yourself, right? but why would you do that when you have Monte Carlos? Like, why would you do that
Right.
when you have AI? Like, why would you actually stress about this? And these are the kind of, I think for me, the reason why I know so much about this was because I'm a soft girl and I am the only analytics engineer in my company. I really did not come to this world to die and to give my soul out. And so I pretty much had to find softwares and tools that were pretty much going to help me pretty much sort out any data issue that I was going to have. And so this is where like the whole, you can actually build a self-service system. And maybe from time to time you get the alert, you kind of read the alert. If the software could not correct it, that's the only time when you have to come into it, right? But most of the time it kind of automatically sorts it out already. So you don't really have to stress about these things. And then we now have the materialized views. So when I first started data, I didn't understand why I needed views. Like, why do I need tables? I need views. And this is one of the things that a lot of people kind of like confuse as well. But views are like are not tables. They're just views. Like you can view it. You can't modify, right? It's just like how like when it's like a reflection of, it's like this, a reflection or a shadow of the actual data system that you currently have, or your data set, right? And the reason why most people create views is because it's faster to query views than to query an entire table, right?
Sure. Makes sense.
When you're when you're trying to build a very robust self-serving system and you're trying to integrate visualization tools, right? This is kind of where like views actually come in, right? When you're trying to use tools like amplitude, lookups, and you don't want to use like every single column in your table. So you kind of create like authorized views, give certain permissions to your service account on like, okay, what they can view like within your system. And then you kind of like are able to view certain tables or certain columns specified within your authorized views, right? Now, most of the time, there are times when your views are out of date and you can't even tell. You might not even know, right? And the data is outdated. It's been there for 2 weeks and you don't even know it was not updated. But because you're human and you're not kind of like trying to navigate through like watching every single thing, especially when you're monitoring, you're working for a large company that has over 50 tables and moving large volumes. This is just something that like is really difficult to kind of like to keep track of, because like I said, you're human.
Right.
But why would you stress yourself and do human things when you have AI, right? And so this is where DBT comes in. And DBT offers something called data freshness. So it constantly retries and sees when last your data was updated. And if your data has been stale for a while, guess what? You don't have to actually restart it. It would automatically restart. So there is something called like the what they call it, it reruns the materialized view definition. So the materialized view definition is like what you use to create that view, right? What you use to create the table. Instead of just leaving it still, it will automatically rerun the entire reconstruction. I don't know, it's like to initialize in coding. I don't know if you know what initialization is. It's just like to reinitialize.
Yeah. No. In the context of
exactly. Sure. So it's just like that, but it just like restarts. It's just like you restarting your system. Okay, it's out of date. It's lagging behind. What's going on? Right. It restarts the entire system, right? And pretty much all this is done by. And I mean, obviously, you behind the scene, you have to do all the configuration, right? That's where the hard work comes in. You're trying to create an autonomous system. So if anything happens, please use this. I mean, there's so many conditions that you kind of create within your system. But in the long run, by the time you finish, now you've sorted out the pipeline itself, the extraction, the loading process of it. Now you've also sorted out the drift in your schema. And now you've sorted out, okay, from the schema part, we've also sorted out the views as well. Your entire data system is ready and it's good to go, right? And so like being able to kind of like decide on the tools that you want to use. A lot of things are I mean, they are mostly cloud-based and maybe you have to pay
Yeah.
And especially with like big companies, they are always ready to take your money. So
For sure.
It depends on like how much you want to spend on your data structure. But like I said, your data system is the heart of your company.
Yeah.
And you don't know if your company is doing well if you don't have the data to back it up, right? And I think as much as you're investing in your engineering team to build a beautiful application system, investing well in your data system as well is also top notch and is also top priority. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I would, for this purpose, I would actually try to create a slide and share it so that you can share on your X platform for people to kind of understand it as well. Yeah.
Well, it is, because it's, for most people, it's so abstract, like what's actually happening in a computer at all, or a network or a database or whatever. It's like, I think I didn't even know that the average person understands what any of those are doing. And then even semi-technical people are going to struggle with, exactly like what you said, like, well, why would there be data corruption? Where does data corruption come from, or whatever? Even, it could be user error. It could be, your AI hallucinated something. It could be whatever.
Broken pipeline, and you don't know. It might be duplicates in your records, and you don't know. It might be missing records, and you don't know. So there's a lot of things that happen behind the scene, and it's really, oh my God, I'm really having some PTSD from when I first started as a data engineer.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times it was trying to just create I was trying to create DAGs, because I learned about Airflow early on, and I was trying to create DAGs to kind of fix existing structures that I knew in the long run we're not going to pay off, right? So they are missing values, or let me check the source data, query what are the missing values, and then insert it into the existing, or they are duplicates, or let me create a DAG that was going to remove the duplicates, or that, how long do you want to keep doing this? Is the question.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Well, and it strikes me, and as I'm listening to this, it reminds me of presentations I've seen about hashing values to the blockchain. Like once you've gotten to a point where the data is good, then you can pick some kind of interval where that data gets checked again, and like, okay, just hash this. So if you have some kind of major problem, right, you don't have to revert back to like 2023 or something. Exactly. Like you can just move back by a week or a month, or like whatever makes sense for your context. But yeah, it's and it is. It's such a complicated problem to solve, because I think so few people understand how any of this works. I've struggled with this. I used to work in cybersecurity, and it was the same kind of thing. Like we just trying to get people to use like a password manager or something, and then you'd figure out that some subsection or some subset of the employees just won't do it.
How are you in 2025 and you don't want to use a password manager, even if it's not a password manager, an authentication tool?
Yeah.
Like that's a risky lifestyle.
It's wild. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's, again, it comes from a place of complete ignorance, and actually those kind of people, like the kind of person that uses like, kitten123 as their password, like those are the people you can trust, actually. Like they're good people, because they can't even conceive of how somebody would, be nefarious enough to try to find their things or break into their life, right? And so it's funny. It's almost like it's like the innocence of a child, frankly. You look at it and say, well, you're adorable, but unfortunately
that is so cute.
Right. Like, but the earth is a terrifying place.
Oh my goodness. The earth is so, there's so many ways. You're hearing what's happening in the crypto exchanges and how they're trying to hack different companies, and the length at which they go through to do it. Most of the time, most of these bugs that are put into the system, they've just been dormant for like maybe even years. That shows a different level of consistency. This world is crazy. If you put the same energy into something else, I'm very sure you would have solved, cancer or something. But,
right. Well, and then not even that, like you get the malicious outside actors, and then you couple that with malicious inside actors. Just look at like Quadriga X or FTX or some of these places where it's like, ooh, okay, were they really foolish or were they really malicious? And it's I still kind of don't know when it comes to FTX. Like I look at it and say,
I look at it and I'm just like, that's very, very, the stories are not adding up, to be very honest. It's quite sketchy. I don't know.
So how do we do that kind of stuff better? I mean, I know I'm asking you to solve all the financial problems of the world here with technology.
I'm wearing my glasses. I'm here for it.
So how do we do that? Because it's like, you know, I would love to trust a company like Binance, but you know, it's like CZ just, I think, got out of prison in the last year or so. And granted, he didn't serve a lot of time, but we now know for a fact that he was laundering money for Al Qaeda. And so, you know, like
when people actually abuse the whole point. I mean, this is why the government feels like they have a good reason why there should not be a decentralized system.
Yeah.
Because everyone there's always, for every good opportunity that the world presents, there are just nasty players that are just waiting to tear it down.
Yeah.
I don't know what the solution is going to be for, like, how you can actually prevent it, because I mean, there's something called free will. And as long as it exists in this world, I feel like no matter what, like no matter the different repercussions that we put in place just to kind of like prevent the entire system, like to prevent corruptions or to prevent fraudulent, malicious behavior, as long as there is free will, there are going to be people that are going to do whatever they want to do.
Yeah. That's really another pearl of wisdom right there. That's well, and it's, again, it's so true, right? Like that I don't remember who said it now, but it was I don't know, some famous person from long ago saying, you know, that the only thing that evil needs to succeed is for good people to do nothing. And it always grinds on me. Like there are many times in my career here, my frustration in the blockchain space, where I just want to say, you know what? It's just too far gone. It's too stupid. It's too corrupt. It's gone too far the other direction. And, you know, and so there are days that I want to quit for that reason. And then, that kind of rings in my head that, like, man, but I've also helped so many people to understand the tech and to get involved in things that matter. And any one of them, and it could be dozens of people that I've helped inspire over the years, maybe hundreds or thousands. I don't know. I don't want to overstate my influence here, but perhaps even if it was just one, if it was one person that took the nugget of possibility and then turned it into something amazing for the world, then, you know, it's like, okay, then it was all worth it for me to, you know, get criticized and smeared and get called a scammer or, you know, whatever. And it's just such a tremendous opportunity, and then also such a responsibility and such a burden, really.
It really is. Because, like, if you think about it, which company or application or technology has been created that doesn't have a negative effect to it? So, like, I mean, most of the time people create stuff for good reasons, right? But then there are always people that would, you know, decide to not use it for whatever good reason it was created for, and to use it for the malicious act. So I think you focus less on like what other people are doing and just do the best that you can do, and hope that that's good enough. Yeah.
I think that's excellent advice, Pearl. we have about 3 minutes left here in the show.
Okay.
And I would love to give you the floor for a final word or final pearl of wisdom, or you know, anything else you want to close with, or where can people find you? And who do you want to work with? Who do you want to contact you, or do you want to be left alone?
I mean, I'm trying to get an F1 ticket. Does that count? No?
Hey, okay. You know what? You know what? We probably have some F1 connections, and that would be awesome.
That would be awesome. So I think I'm going to speak from my own perspective, because I'm a woman in tech. I came from a finance background. I came from an extremely non-tech background, right?
Yeah.
And I think most of the time when women try to venture into tech, there's just this need to do more and to be better than the average, right?
For sure.
And I think 99% of the time in our heads, we kind of have this construct where we're not enough. We need to do more. We need to perform more. We need to learn more. Being where I am now and seeing how much I've accomplished, I would say that I have been just exactly where I need to be, right? I don't think I needed to do anything more. I just needed to be passionate about whatever I wanted to do. And that was enough drive for me. And so I think anyone that's just coming into tech or just trying to understand blockchain, trying to build a software that helps us with corruption, trying to pretty much, find the best way to integrate all this new technology, AI, blockchain. There was a time when Web3 was such a big deal, but I don't know what's happening to Web3 now. Right?
Yeah.
I know that it's just being able to, there's like being able to learn these softwares, understand it, and be passionate about it enough to do something with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
To solve something. And that's it. And you're doing the best you can do. As long as you're focusing on doing the best you can do, you're good. I mean, that's if it's the best you can do. If it's not the best you can do, I think you need to try more.
Yeah, you can't fake it.
You can't fake it, but as long as you're passionate, I love what I do. I really do love what I do. I love the opportunity to be able to think outside the box thanks to AI. I love the opportunity to think outside the box with AI.
Mm-hmm.
And, so I think just if you're venturing into tech, male, female, boy, girl, and you're trying to understand, should I go for it? What do I need to do? What extra steps do I need to take? Just start. That's it. And be passionate about it. The drive.
That's great advice. Yeah.
The drive is enough for you. That's it.
Yeah. Hard work beats talent when talent won't work hard. So,
exactly.
All right, Pearl, you have been a delight. I'm really glad to have had you on the show. Are we going to see you at the London Blockchain Conference?
100%.
All right, awesome. We need to make sure to connect. I'd love to shake your hand and talk to you in person, please.
Definitely.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for coming on the show. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, everybody. That was Pearl Nwade. She is, man, up to a bunch of really cool stuff and really inspirational. So if anybody needs a role model, we found you one. So let's keep that momentum going. There's a lot of really amazing things that we can accomplish with the technology or with our minds or our bodies or our work ethic. And, we need to team up with people that are good at things that we're not good at. And we need to help each other be better at all the things so we can accomplish everything that we need to accomplish, everybody. So thank you for tuning into the CoinGeek Weekly Livestream. I hope you like, subscribe, hit the alert bell. I appreciate you, the viewers. Without you, I would have nothing to do at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every single Tuesday. So please keep coming. Please patronize Rock Wallet at rockwallet.com. Follow me at Kurt Wuckert Jr. everywhere. And of course, be good to each other, because if we can't be good to each other, then the rest of it's not worth it either. So I will see you next week. I'm Kurt Wuckert Jr. saying goodbye.